Go ahead. Make my day.
Alright guys, welcome to another episode of the Nerdy Harry channel. I'm Anthony and
I'm Joey.
Alright, it's good to have you guys back. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Before we get started, how you doing, Joey?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. Interested to see what we get into tonight. Wrote a lot of topics. I do my little notes thing, which you've already looked over it. But we got a lot of things I guess we can get onto, and then we'll go from there, man. You ready?
Yep, let's go.
All right, Batman versus Superman. I know what you're thinking. All three of you that are listening.
We love you, by the way.
Every single three of you.
And keep spreading it. You know who you are.
That's exactly right, Mom. But seriously, Batman versus Superman, not even a weekend, $500 million worldwide, Joey.
It's a big movie, man, and it's great. And like I said last week, we want this movie to make a ton of money because the more money this makes, the better Justice League will be, the better Wonder Woman will be, the better Aquaman, Flash, all that. Because those movies won't command the type of budget that a movie like Batman, Superman, or Justice League will. So this needs to make a ton of money. This needs to be a $1 billion movie, no doubt. And I think it will be.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too. And I'm interested to see, we're going to go ahead. I want to start talking about a little bit some subplots to the movie and what it's going to create. Do you think that a lot of people have talked about the darkness, the tone of the movie? Do you think that's going to go with Aquaman and Wonder Woman? Is it going to be a different atmosphere, or do you think they've kind of sat and talked and said, okay, this is the atmosphere we're going for? Because these are going to be different directors, different writers, other than Batman with Ben Affleck, which we'll get into in a few minutes. But do you think it's going to kind of have the same feel for every movie, or do you think each movie is going to have their own thing?
I'll use an example that everybody's familiar with, and they're very popular. Probably the two of the better Marvel movies. I'll use Marvel since they're the template for everything that's been going on superhero movie wise. Captain America: The First Avenger and Captain America: The Winter Soldier were two totally different types of movies. They had two different directors. Well, two in the second one, obviously, the Russo brothers. But the tone, the feel, the story, everything was different. First Avenger, it felt nostalgic. It felt almost like it came out of a comic book. Yeah. In a sense, the way it looks.
Yeah.
Yet, when you get in Winter Soldier, it felt more like a spy thriller, something you'd seen in the 70s,
And I like both of them, too,
and I love both of them. And I think Winter Soldier is the better movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's sort of just an example of where they're going to go. No, I think that Aquaman and Wonder Woman and Flash and Cyborg, they'll all feel different. And that's fine. I want them to be different. I don't want every single DC movie to be exactly the same, personally.
Right.
But now, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm interested to see where they go. I think I'm most intrigued by Aquaman. There's something that so works with them casting Jason Momoa, but the other end of the spectrum of it is, it just feels like, what were they thinking? Because it's Jason Momoa, and I think there's that cool factor, like, yeah. But then when you look at Aquaman, you go,
He's not the Aquaman I was thinking of.
No, me neither. Because you're expecting the blonde hair, which he posted a picture the other day, I guess, on Instagram, showing that he had his hair,
streak.
Yeah, blonde.
I think I saw that too. Yeah,
blonde and stuff in it, but it's still not. Even if his hair was blonde, it's still not kind of how I pictured Aquaman. But I'll reserve judgment until the movie comes out. Moving on, also it was revealed on the internet, so it must be true, that Ben Affleck has finished the script for Batman, the solo Batman flick.
And has had it finished for a while, supposedly.
Oh, okay.
Well, not like a long time, but the last few months. Supposedly, what little I've read, and there's different things out there, but basically, when the idea was even approached to him, or that it was pitched to him to be Batman Bruce Wayne, that was one of his requests, was I want to have a hand in directing, writing, producing something. I said, okay. And basically, he sat down and started writing a template for a script. Now, I don't know if it's a true, page to page, front to back script.
Right.
But
now, do they need to put this out before 2020? Because they're not on the timeline for that. I mean, but this needs to happen.
If he's got it and they approve it, and other than just, the 3 or 4 rewrites that they'll obviously go through, go ahead and make it.
I know.
Heck with 2020, because we talked about this the other day.
The age.
He's going to be 50 at that point.
Yeah.
Now, he won't be 50 in 2020 when they're shooting it. But I mean, Ben Affleck is not a young spring chicken anymore. They need to get this out, and
right?
Get it in the can.
And I'm really excited for him. I'm glad that he had that excitement to go ahead and write it. I think that as fans, we should be excited about that.
Oh, me too.
Because to me, it has a little bit of a Ryan Reynolds feel to it. Ryan Reynolds had a passion for Deadpool, and it seems like Ben Affleck has that same passion for Batman.
Yes.
So I hope that goes on with the Batman solo flick, because you and I both talked about this in the review. We felt like the biggest thing we come out of this movie was the Batman solo movie. That's what we want to see. So at least I think so. I think it's going to be really great. But to be determined. Moving on, DC Rebirth. DC had their press conference this week. I will admit, and we've both already talked about this, we haven't had the opportunity to watch it. Really want to, but just time-wise, didn't have the opportunity to do it. But I want to get your thoughts on DC basically hitting reset. What do you think about that?
Well,
because it seems like that's what they've done now. They've said, okay, let's try something else.
In this day and age, print comic books are a dying breed. And I think that Marvel has enough money behind it now with the purchase of Disney, or Disney purchasing them, especially the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU, that they don't worry as much about if their comic books are a big money maker. But DC doesn't have that. Warner Brothers does not put that kind of money and backing into them. And I think they desperately want their comic book side to be successful, at least in terms of how it can be successful in today's age. But I don't like it. I mean, I didn't like it when they did the New 52.
And see, that's why I'm okay with them moving on, because I'm done with the New 52.
Well, what I mean by that is like, guys, every 2 years you're going to do this, really?
Yeah.
And again, I mean, it just seems reaching.
Yeah. And now let me say this too, though. I said I didn't like the New 52. I'm wrong on saying that, because there are a lot of things I did like about the New 52. Nightwing. I love Nightwing New 52. I love Aquaman New 52 and Flash New 52. And I heard the Swamp Thing's really good as well, but I haven't got the opportunity to start that yet. But I mean, I'm a Batman and a Superman fan. Now, the New 52 Batman was okay. I think they've still done okay with that. But Superman, and I've talked about this with you before, they've pushed him to the side. They've ruined his story and how he is, his character. And I hope this is a new start for Superman to bring him back to the forefront, which is where he needs to be. Anyways, I feel like he's just been pushed aside. But I'm a Superman fan, so of course I'm going to feel that way.
I honestly think that Batman and Superman equally should be viewed at the same way. They are the reason DC Comics exists. Mm-hmm. They are the reason that anybody likes comic books, period. They were the originals, and they're still the templates for the superhero genre. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything Marvel has ever done, and Stan Lee can lie or he can admit it, whatever, is based off of a lot of the things that DC had already done with somebody at some time. But Batman and Superman needs to be on equal ground. But you're right, I agree. I haven't read the Superman comic books in the New 52 like you did. I have only read more of the Batman stuff. But if he's been taken down that road of being put on the back burner, then they need to stop.
Yeah.
Superman needs to be back out in the forefront. And I think part of it is that Superman's lost his wholesomeness. Mm-hmm. He's the good guy. He's the perfect guy, the perfect man, so to speak. Mm-hmm. He does have his imperfections, but he always finds a way to overcome that.
Yeah.
And if they're not doing that with him, then they need to stop and redo it.
Well, here's where I think DC's messed up. DC's messed up because they're making a change on how they do comics, but nobody's been changed at the top. So if you're doing that with making no changes at the top, you've basically admitted what we've been doing is wrong. So we're going to try something else. Now, if you have a new guy come in, or woman, or whatever, to take over, and you change things, then, as a fan, you can go, okay, they're trying to do their thing. But when you're changing, it's like a football team. If a football team, basically, if a general manager fires their head coach and goes and gets somebody else, and the general manager still keeps their job, they're admitting that, hey, I was wrong, and they pick that head coach, they're wrong.
Yeah.
And they're having to go get somebody else because they realize they're wrong. I think DC has admitted basically that what they've been doing has not been right on a lot of things. So they're trying to hit the reset button, try to get the fans back in there. That's good that they're doing that, and I hope it works. But it's a wait and see. But I believe it or not, I'm excited because I want to see what they want to do because I love DC, and I'm gonna always stick by them. So
yeah.
All right, moving along as we're already on the superhero topic, Daredevil. Let's talk a little bit about Daredevil. Joey, we've had this conversation. You've already finished it. Yes. Sorry, dog. And but Nicole and I, we just finished episode 4 because we're trying to take our time with it and enjoy it. And but I understand the binge watching. That's the greatness of Netflix. But without spoiling things for me, what do you like about Daredevil season 2?
2 words: The Punisher.
Yes. Agreed. One word. Agreed.
I mean, just not because I can't really get into details, especially if you haven't watched it. You're through episode 4.
Episode
right?
4. Basically, what just happened. And by the way, this is a spoiler for you if you haven't watched it. You can go ahead and stop listening now. Cover your ears. Cover them. I'm going to say it.
Earmuffs.
But basically, the Punisher just got handed over to the police. By
at the graveyard.
Yeah, at the graveyard. So I love John Barenthal as the Punisher. He is just awesome. I still keep waiting for Rick. I keep waiting for Rick to come out of the back room and save Shane. But he's just an awesome
Let me
Punisher.
tell you something about John Barenthal, and this is the one thing that I didn't like about this season of Daredevil, and it's not the worst thing in the world, but in a way it is. He's a better actor than Charlie Cox, and he overshadows the title character, and that's not good. And I think that kind of threw me off a little bit at first, but then after a while I accepted it, and I was like, okay, that's no big deal. We can deal with this because he does such a good. It's a totally different take on the Punisher, guys. You haven't even seen
I'm sure
what the Punisher will do yet.
I know, and I can't wait. And so, well, what I love about it is it's a legitimate Punisher. This is the comic book Punisher, violent and mean and
no remorse,
right? And no remorse. But he has a reason for this. This is not just some guy who's psychotic and he's like the Joker here and he's doing this just for fun.
At your point right now, that you don't really realize that on the show yet. They don't realize that there's a reason behind it.
Right.
A lot of the show is dedicated to him and to why he's doing it. You'll see that as you keep watching it, and as you at home keep watching it too, if you haven't gotten that far yet. But that's what the show is about him. That's why I said The Punisher. Yeah. It is about him.
I think where they've not messed up so far, but I'm still early on the season, so it stinks that I haven't finished it, so I can't discuss everything with you about it. But that's just part of the situation we're in. The thing that I think so far that has hurt Charlie Cox, right? That's playing Matt Murdock.
Name, yeah.
They're really, gosh, even Nicole and I, my wife, we were watching the episode 4 or whatever it was the other day, and where him and the secretary, where Matt and the secretary were out in the rain, and he's rubbing her arm, and she's so overacting that scene where she's like, hey, and she's all shaking like, I don't care about this. Like, this is almost like Morgan and Rick. I'm kind of okay. Either you're gonna be together or you're not. And I get they're doing the build up and whatever. You already know probably.
Yeah,
what's
I'm not gonna say anything
but,
other than I understand what you're saying, and it will improve.
Okay, that's good because it's getting a little annoying right now. I just assume him, fight people or
it's going to improve.
Okay. Good. Moving along. The other day, you posted something on our Facebook page, which I would say if you're not seen our Facebook page, then you need to go check it out.
Right.
But
Nerdy Harry.
to all three people that are listening, you probably already
Tell your friends,
liked our
Nerdy Harry.
page. That's exactly right. But you had actually posted something about Star Trek and what's your favorite Star Trek movie. And so let's talk a little bit about Star Trek movies, TV, and so tell me, what is your favorite Star Trek series of all time? Yeah,
Next Generation.
Next Generation. Why is that?
Captain Picard.
Okay.
I love Jean-Luc. I like the whole cast though. I like George the Forge. I like Data. I'm not a big Wesley Crusher fan by any means.
What about Worf? Oh, no,
I like Worf. Yeah. I mean, I like the whole cast. I don't like the earlier episodes because Picard. If you've never seen this, and I don't want to get too long-winded on this, okay, but there is a William Shatner documentary called The Captains, where he goes and talks to everyone who's ever been a captain on a Star Trek series.
I've not seen that.
It's excellent. He even talks to Chris Pine. He shot it around the time they were doing In the Darkness, I think. Mm-hmm. They were shooting In the Darkness. And he goes around, because if you don't know this, Shatner for years shunned the fact that he was only known as Captain Kirk. He hated it. Mm-hmm. Well, Picard, Patrick Stewart, went through that same thing. Basically, though, the long and short of it is Patrick Stewart did it because his agent talked him into it, said he'll probably get canceled after the first year. Just do it, make you some money, and then you can move on back to stage work. And that's the only reason he took it. And he actually wore a toupee to the audition, and then they found out he was bald, and Roddenberry told him to take it off, and he did the audition again, and he said, that's it. He's like, that's perfect.
Wow.
That's who we want.
I've never heard that.
But think about it, if you've watched The Next Generation, the first couple seasons, Picard is very angry almost. Mm-hmm. He's always barking orders and he gets frustrated.
Yeah.
And Patrick Stewart actually says, that was me coming out in the character. He says, I hated working 18, 19 hours a day. I hated wearing the uncomfortable clothes. I hated having to stop and wait 3 hours to go back and shoot one line. He said, I'd never done that before. He says, but now he says, I'll tell you this, being Jean-Luc Picard is the greatest gift that life has ever given me.
Wow.
He said, and William Shatner said, I understand that. I know that too. Captain Kirk, James T. Kirk is the greatest gift that's ever been given to me.
So it's like looking back on high school and going, man, when you're in high school, you're like, man, it sucks.
Yep.
But as soon as you get out of high school, you're like, you better enjoy it.
Better enjoy it.
I wish I was back in high school.
Exactly. And that's kind of what he was saying, But anyway, yeah, that's another little thing. But favorite series is The Next Generation. You're not as big of a Star Trek fan, I don't think.
No.
But what about you?
The Next Generation. I watched it when I was in high school. Nerd and proud of it. But I actually even went to a Trekkie convention. I believe it was my sophomore year with a friend of mine. His parents took me and him. He had actually got me into the show. And I actually had the soundtrack to The Next Generation. I mean, I love the show. And my favorite was Geordi. I love Geordi. I mean, Reading Rainbow. It's LeVar Burton, man.
Yeah.
But I loved Worf, too. But I was fortunate enough where I actually got to meet Marina Sirtis, Counselor Troy. She was there, so I got to meet her. And, man, she was so awesome, and she was so pretty in person. Like, you think, when you watch it, you're like, oh, wow, she's really...
Yeah, she has a very exotic look.
Oh, man, but in person, she is just really, really pretty and really nice. And it was so cool to meet her, but she was very short. I mean, I graduated really short, and she was even shorter than me. Which, by the way, the other day, Marina turned 61.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you had said something about that.
Yeah, she turned 61.
That's hard to believe.
I know, but it's so funny looking back on it when I watch the episodes now, because that's the only one I really watch. I tried watching Deep Space Nine. Horrible. And the original episodes I don't mind. I can watch them on occasion, but I have to be in a certain mood to watch the original Star Treks. But The Next Generation, going back and watching them now, I'll tell you who my favorite character is now, looking back on. And I love Patrick Stewart, but is Riker.
Yeah.
Man, Jonathan Frakes carried that show in such a way.
Loves Star Trek, man. I mean, the best movie of the Next Generation cast
Yeah, that's the one he directed,
It's
right?
First Contact.
Yeah.
And he directed First Contact. And
Yeah.
I love First Contact. It's a great Star Trek movie. They go back in time. They have to save the warp drive ship. And, they have to make sure that Zephyr Cochrane actually does it so that the Romulans will see him. And, because if they don't, then there is no...
Because he gets Star Trek.
He gets it. And he has campaigned J.J. Abrams and CBS and let me direct a movie. I won't disappoint you.
Yeah, and they never will.
And
though.
they never will.
They won't do that either. But looking back on it though, man, Jonathan Frakes carried that show in such a way, really underrated on that show.
Comic relief. He could also be serious. He had his little...
Okay, wait, bearded Riker or clean shaven Riker? Bearded Riker.
Love bearded Riker. Just something different about him. He just, I don't know, maybe it made him more manly.
I don't know, but it was something, man, the clean shaven Riker just...
Yeah, I didn't like it.
It didn't really work. Now, did you like the original Star Trek movies?
Yes. It's weird that 2 through 4 is a trilogy. But guys, Roddenberry was the main brains behind Star Trek the Motion Picture. And if you're not a huge Star Trek fan, like I said today, just avoid it.
Yeah.
It's a good movie if you're a fan of Star Trek, but it's so crazy and different because the reason why it's even made is they were actually going to make a TV show called Star Trek Phase 2 and bring the original cast back on a new Enterprise, and then it got turned down, and they said, well, why don't we just make a movie out of that script? And so they kind of just threw the script together, and that's where you get the retrofit Enterprise, the new one. And the movie actually came up from a TV series called Phase 2. But it's weird. It's out there because Roddenberry was a certified genius. And then after the movie bombed basically at the box office, they wanted to keep doing the movies because they thought that the popularity was there, but they took it out of his hands. They took it away from him. And when they did that, people who loved the old series but knew that they needed to improve on it wrote 2, 3, and 4 as a trilogy. That's Wrath of Khan, which is the best movie of all of them. That's my opinion. Love Wrath of Khan, period. But it's a top 5 movie for me, not Star Trek movie.
Is it a Ricardo Montalban?
Ricardo Montalban.
Pleasure? Was it Pleasure Island, or is that what it was called?
No, it was
Pleasure Island. I hope that's it.
Yeah,
it sounds like a Cinemax late night TV.
Pleasure Island. Hello, I am Ricardo
What is
Montalban.
it? Is that what it was?
No, he was on
It's the plane.
That's
it's
it.
the
That's what I'm talking
I
about.
don't think it was Treasure Island. No, it was Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island. I
Yeah.
said Pleasure.
But there's your little comic relief.
Oh, man.
Montalban kills it in that. Now, something you don't know is he actually played Khan in the original series. Too,
Yeah.
But he looked totally different. I love that. And then I like The Search for Spock. That was Leonard Nimoy's first movie that he directed. And that's why he's not in it that much, obviously, because Leonard Nimoy never wanted to bring Spock back. Spock was dead. Mm-hmm. But they said, no, Spock can't be dead. We'll let you direct the next couple if you'll come back. Okay. So he agreed. But that's why he's only in it at the end. It was about them trying to find Spock and bring him back. Mm-hmm. His whatever, his Katra or whatever you want to call it, his thoughts and feelings and memories are in Dr. McCoy Bones, driving him crazy. But anyway, and then For the Voyage Home is a great movie too. Even though they had to go back and find whales, it was the whole save the whales thing. But it was a smart move because it made sense in the movie of why they'd have to.
So you're sticking with Star Trek Next Generation is the best series.
Yep.
And favorite movie is Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan. Now I will say this though, I like First Contact a lot.
Uh-huh.
It's like number 2, and then number 3, a close third, is the new Star Trek, the first one.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like Into Darkness as much because they ripped the Wrath of Khan off, and
Why can't you come up with something?
Killed me. And I knew that's what he'd done. The rumors right there, I was like, that's what they've done. It was well done.
Yeah, it's good.
If they'd never done that before, but they've done it before.
You've already been in that. You've already done that storyline before. That's the whole point of the movies is where you continue on. Now here's the thing. I know they kind of went back to the prequel of how he got into it, but you can do that in that movie. But the next one, you've got to come up with something new.
Well, supposedly Star Trek Beyond is going to be something totally different. I mean, Simon Pegg wrote this.
Oh boy,
Simon Pegg loves Star Trek.
I know,
and we were talking about that with John
Kevin
Frakes.
Smith loves comics too, but that doesn't mean everything he does is great either.
That's a good point, but I think Pegg is going to do okay on this. I have faith in him. And the trailer that they've only showed one trailer, it hasn't showed much, but the cast liked it. They enjoyed the movie and they said it's going to be different, but this is the 5-year mission. They're out there. We're going to find something totally new, alien that we've never seen or heard of before. I think the Klingons might be in this a little bit, but that's okay. Klingons are a very important part of Star Trek. They're dirty Russian.
For her Klingon fans,
I don't mean that by dirty Russian, but it's like a broken Russian.
What is on our mind, man?
Yeah, I don't know, man. But anyway, but yeah.
But so there's our Star Trek-ness coming out. So for anybody that enjoys Star Trek talk, see, we go to all spectrums of nerdness. Let's talk about something that I seen it this week, and I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen where Voltron's going to be on Netflix?
I did, yeah.
What do you think, man?
Well, I just saw a picture of it. I don't know.
Go ahead, say it. You hate it. I
hate the idea of it because
I can tell.
I didn't even like Vehicle Voltron that much when they did that.
Yeah,
I'm lying bought Voltron, the original. I mean, I've showed you. I bought the 30th anniversary set, and it's the box set. I love the original Voltron. I just think it was so well done for just such a short period of time. I mean, they only did it for like 2 years, I think.
And here's where Hollywood does it again, where, let's see, we don't have any ideas, so I know what we'll do. We'll take something that's nostalgic and has a cult following. And
make a Voltron live-action movie. That's what I want.
Wow,
I mean, they can do Transformers now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, hold on. They can make a movie and put Transformers on it, but that doesn't mean it's going to be any good.
But you see what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
The special effects isn't the problem.
Yeah, but see, a movie like Voltron, if they try to do a live-action movie like Voltron, I tell you what they're going to do. They're going to make it funny. It's going to be a funny little version, because if you look at the cartoon in its own little way is kind of funny and campy.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
So you can't really do Voltron and be serious without making fun of it to a certain extent.
Well, let me correct myself. Yeah, they are making Voltron because they're making a new Power Rangers movie, which is a complete and utter ripoff of Voltron.
Yeah.
Which I've
always felt the same thing. I'm like, really? This is
the same thing. They wear the helmets, they wear the suits that are different colors, they got the different animals that form a robot.
But give it to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which I've only seen a few episodes in my life.
Yeah,
it was just too this may be blasphemy to some people, but it was just too campy for me for a live action.
I felt like I was too old for it.
Yeah, exactly right. I felt the same way. See, maybe I just missed it. You know what I mean?
I just missed it too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so no, I'm excited to see what they do with it still, because it's still Voltron. So let's see how they do it, and we'll go from there. But you know what? I'm gonna throw you a curveball here.
All right.
All right. Usually I know we're kind of talking about what's going on in the week, but we're still trying to figure things out with the show and how we're going to go. But I'm going to throw you a curveball here. What did you think of Ernest movies?
I liked a few of the Ernest movies.
Okay, which ones did you like?
I like Ernest Goes to Jail. I like, Ernest Goes to Camp? Is that right?
Yeah, that was the first one.
That was my favorite too, I know for a fact. Then after that, I think they just kind of just wore on me a little bit.
Oh gosh, man, you're missing. Right, you got Ernest.
Now look,
Ernest Scared Stupid.
I met Jim Varney when I was a teenager.
Really?
My uncle lived in White House, Tennessee, which is north of Nashville, and Jim Varney lived there.
Yeah, that's right. He did live in Tennessee.
And he was weird, guys, because he was the grand marshal of the parade, and then he went around after they did the parade, and we went to like this little thing, and he wasn't signing autographs, but he was just there doing a meet and greet, and I got to meet. I actually talked to Jim Varney for like 3 or 4 minutes.
Wow.
And guys, he's wearing all black. He's got earrings in both ears and his nose.
No,
he's got long hair.
No, he does
swear.
not.
Now he's passed away now, obviously, but he had long hair down to his shoulders. I mean, he looked like he was in a grunge band.
You sure it wasn't just some guy named like Jim Johnson, and he was past Jim Varney couldn't make it, so they're like,
it would make you think.
Hey Jim, come on, hop up there. You kind of look like him.
Wasn't there one of the Ernest movies where he like had like a diabolical?
Yeah, that was Ernest Goes to Jail.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, that's really who he was. That was him. I mean, guys, he looked like he should have been Nirvana. Or
maybe
something.
he was method acting. He was getting into the role of.
Yeah, he had like a goatee. I mean. He really did.
I love the Ernest movies. I grew up on them. Mom would actually, we've seen quite a few Ernest movies. My brother and I, my mom, we've seen quite a few Ernest movies at the 3-Star Cinema in McMinnville. That was kind of our theater we always went to. And, but I'd seen
that was a low rated movie then for the 3-Star Cinema.
Yeah, no. 3 out of 10, trust me. But we had seen Ernest Goes to Jail, Ernest Scared Stupid, which Ernest Scared Stupid is the far and above the best one out of all of them, and Ernest Saves Christmas, which is
I've seen that one.
Ernest Saves Christmas is pretty.
Yeah,
it's a new low. It's a new low though. I mean, it was probably my least favorite, and then I love Ernest Goes to Camp. No, I just wanted to talk about that because my boys, I have 2 boys, and they love the Ernest movies, and there's nobody like that anymore for kids to grow up on. That's what I loved about Ernest. That
it's like Pee Wee Herman too.
Which
obviously we could have led right into that.
That's okay. We can talk about that as well.
I liked Pee Wee when I was a kid. My sister loved Pee Wee with Cherry and
Pee Wee's Playhouse.
What's his name? That was the cowboy. That he's a big actor now.
Lawrence Fishburne played him. The cowboy.
I can't remember what his name was though.
Oh, this is horrible.
But I mean, the show was good. And by the way, he's been on Gotham here this season,
playing the Penguin's dad.
Exactly.
And how ironic that he actually played the Penguin's dad in Batman Returns.
Yes, he did.
And so that's cool how they kind of brought that little full circle.
It back a little bit, yeah.
I had this discussion with Jesse on Facebook, I believe it was last night, because I had posted something about your favorite cult 80s movies, and I had mentioned that Pee-wee's Big Adventures in like my top 5 comedy of all time.
It was funny.
It's like I told him. It's a kids movie made for adults.
Yes.
I mean, if you're a kid, you're loving it, watching it, and not getting.
Well, you could say a lot of the Pixar movies are in that same mode.
Yeah, most definitely. There's jokes, some adult jokes that are in there.
Well, my sister took my nephew, her and my brother-in-law to go watch Zootopia, and she said, Joey, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
She's like, there's so many adult jokes in that movie that it's not dirty, and it's above kids' heads. It's got the kid stuff, but it's also got the adult stuff. And I told her, I said, that's just how they have to make movies now to get people in the theater.
Yeah, for me, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is top 5 comedy of all time for me. Paul Rubens found something. Like, it connected, it worked. And I'll say this, and I may catch crap for saying this, but look, did he do something bad by going to the theater? Yeah, but man, you talk about just destroying his life.
The one
thing that he did, and
you would have thought he'd have slaughtered 100 kids or something.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Bodies were found in his basement,
pleasing himself in a X-rated theater or whatever.
Yeah, and now I'm not condoning that.
No, me neither. but there's worse things, guys.
There are a lot worse, definitely a lot worse things than that. And I was just, man, it just ruined it. I remember when all that went down on the news too, and they just hammered him for that. But to me, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Tim Burton, it's Tim Burton's first film that he ever did. They gave it to him like, okay, go ahead and make this silly little movie. And dude, it's a cult classic.
Which is crazy because it's not a normal Tim Burton movie.
No, it's not. There's some elements that you go, oh, okay, there's Tim Burton. But normally,
it's not an Edward Scissorhands or a Batman But by the way, just because we're on that, I know it's off subject.
No, it's okay.
Favorite Tim Burton movie?
Oh, Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Okay.
And now that's tough because Batman is right.
But I actually know one that.
Let me see if I can guess yours. Edward Scissorhands.
No, I like Edward Scissorhands.
Sleepy Hollow.
No.
What? Let's hear.
Big Fish.
Big Fish, really good movie. Ewan McGregor.
Love Big Fish.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor.
Albert Finney. It's a great story.
Yeah.
It's got just enough Tim Burton-esque, with the fantasy, but then I love how at the end his dad wasn't telling him a lie.
Yeah.
He just made it more interesting for his young son.
Right. Yeah, that was a really... Man, you could tell he was dealing with some stuff.
He was dealing with something.
Oh my gosh, you know what else we forgot? Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah, Beetlejuice, and it's coming back, baby. Beetlejuice. Oh yeah, I better not. But I mean, yeah,
exactly. You don't want to. We're not in the middle of the show here. It'll take over. But oh man, Beetlejuice. Hold on. Let me start over. Let me start my list over here. So I'm going to go with Beetlejuice number 1.
Yeah, that's got to be at least number 1 or 2 for me. No, it's probably number 2, close.
And Pee-wee's Big Adventures really close number 2, and then I'll throw Batman in there. Which, by the way, I mentioned Edward Scissorhands. We just let our boys. We bought that recently on Blu-ray, and man, the boys love that movie. It's a really, really good movie, and man, Johnny Depp he has been hanging on for so long and continues. I'm a huge Johnny Depp fan. I think him and Keanu Reeves, we're going to look back. It's so funny how people used to make fun of, I'm getting off subject, but I don't care. Keanu Reeves, I remember in the 90s, he was such a big joke. Such a big joke.
Because of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey are still classics to me. I love both of them.
They're great. And they're even talking about making another one.
I know. Him and Alex Winter.
It's legit.
I know. But here's the thing, though. I don't want to see Bill and Ted's Sons.
I don't either.
Oh,
and that's what they'll do.
That's exactly what they'll do. But it's so funny that for so long that Keanu Reeves has been a joke. But man, did you ever see John Wick?
I've never watched John Wick, and I've heard I need to watch John Wick.
Oh my gosh,
I just haven't gotten around to it.
It is such a legit movie.
Keanu Reeves, though, has got his moments where he's a good actor, and then sometimes he's just not. But it's because he picks the wrong roles occasionally for the paycheck, I think. But
see, here's the thing. I would disagree with you. I don't think he picks the wrong roles. I think he's a guy that knows exactly what he picks. It's just he does stuff that's off the wall that doesn't go with what everybody else wants.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
I mean, because I remember when he did Speed, and everybody's like, the guy from Bill and Ted. But he did it because it was something different.
Oh, it works.
And it was great.
The Speed 2 was terrible.
Speed 2, Jason Patrick?
Yeah, it was terrible.
No.
Another good Tim Burton movie / Johnny Depp movie. And I'm not a huge Johnny Depp fan. Okay, I'm not.
Okay.
But
nobody's perfect.
Another one that I guarantee you most people who's listening, all three of you, have never seen is Ed Wood.
I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Black and white.
I've not seen it all the way.
Plan 9 from Outer Space or something. Worst movie of all time, basically.
Right.
Ed Wood was a B movie guy. Bela Lugosi's last film was in Ed Wood movie before he passed away, which you know who that is. Bela
right,
Lugosi,
Bela. Of course, Dracula.
But I mean, it was actually a pretty good movie. It was different.
Yeah, that's probably, I would say that's probably the only Tim Burton movie I haven't seen. And like I said, it was years ago too when it first came out on cable. I had seen bits and pieces of it, but it just, I don't know. Maybe it's because I didn't start it from the beginning. It just didn't.
Yeah, that's a movie you have to start from the beginning.
Appeal to me. But all right, well, you know what? We're going to go ahead and wrap up this week's episode. We kind of went off track, but I
like it though, man. We need to. We're not just about comic book movies, guys. I mean, let me tell you about Frontline last night on PBS. No, I'm just joking.
But no, thank you guys for listening to it. I'm sure, well, I guess it's probably down to 2 people now. The third person's probably already hit stop. And they said they'll listen to it later. But no, seriously, thank you guys for your support. We're up to 60-something likes on Facebook page, which is so cool. And look, we're not doing it for the likes, and we're not doing it for the views and everything, but it does feel good to see that. That's kind of like, oh, okay, cool. It kind of motivates you, pushes you even more.
2 weeks, I mean.
Yeah. So that is really cool, and it's just. It's cool also to see Countdown to Geektown, see them we're both actually kind of going at the same pace, which is awesome to see both of us grow.
It is, yeah.
And I always just keep looking forward to their stuff. I listened to their podcast this week, and they did a good job on the Batman versus Superman review. I enjoyed that. So if you get a chance, as always, I wanted to tell you, check out their podcast on iTunes, and I believe it's on SoundCloud as well, and check out their Facebook page. But anyways, so we're going to wrap up this week. Joey, thanks so much, and I guess we'll see you next week, right, man? Or maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll do one here in the next week or 2.
Later, guys.
Bye-bye.